Hey, I'm Paul with Rack Attack, and this is the RockyMounts TieRod roof mount bicycle carrier. We have it installed onto this vehicle that has factory installed crossbars that are approved for this application. We'll go ahead and take this rack off the vehicle and show you all the details of how it works. We'll load and unload this bicycle. Let's first go ahead and get a close-up look at it inside, and we'll go into more detail. Okay, so now let's take a look at the TieRod up close. So for starters, construction is high quality extruded aluminum for this tray and die-cast aluminum for the front head unit. All the other materials are long-lasting, durable, designed for long-term outdoor use. Okay, so first, how it attaches to your roof rack crossbars. At the front, you have stainless steel bands that are rubberized in order to provide a conforming, strong grip to the crossbar, as well as rubber pads to also provide grip and protection to your crossbars. Underneath this panel, you have the fastener, and a tool is included in order to tighten and loosen that fastener, and it simultaneously will draw up these two bands so that it'll grip snug against the crossbars. And then as we move back, we have the rear bar attachment point. This is adjustable along the length of the tray to accommodate various widths of crossbar spacing. Also, the thickness of the depth of how thick of crossbars is also adjustable, of course, with the threading, but also with spacers. So if you have a very thin set of crossbars, you can use this spacer in order to prevent, the spacer would actually be positioned at the top here. So you have the washer and the spacer. So that way you don't have too much threading coming down, which could potentially touch the roof. So that will take up a lot of that length for very thin crossbars. On our vehicle today, we have thicker crossbars, and this length will work perfectly. So adjustable fore and aft, adjustable thickness. So this can help this carrier work on the widest range of vehicle roof rack systems. Okay, so now that's the attachment of the carrier to your crossbars. So for the attachment of the bicycle to the carrier, you have a long throw quick release lever at the front. Now this is designed for conventional quick release bicycles, and we have one right here. So let me go ahead and show you exactly the style of bicycle front fork that this works with. Okay, so you have your traditional quick release. We'll go ahead and take that off and set the front wheel off to the side. Now, all modern bicycles have some form of safety to prevent the quick release on the front wheel from just dropping out if it comes loose on its own. And so when this fork is being held by this quick release, it has a long throw which will allow the quick release skewer to expand enough to where you can adjust it once for the particular bike, and then you don't have to readjust it again after that, because this special linkage here will open and close wide enough and allow for an easy, quick install and removal. Now, in addition to that, it's a one-sided adjustment. When the tips of the fork enter and drop down onto the skewer, you have this elbow which will touch the side of the fork, which means all your adjustments are done conveniently from one side. So whether you're tightening or loosening, that's how you'll be able to make that adjustment as simple as possible. Now in the back, as we go to the back here, we have a rear wheel strap. This is a nylon ratcheting strap, and that is fully adjustable along the length of this tray to accommodate for different wheelbase lengths. So it's fully adjustable, and it's long enough to get around narrow road bike tires as well as wider mountain bike tires. Okay, now a couple tips back to this quick release. Because you have a fair amount of movement and sliding with this particular design, we found it's very beneficial to periodically lubricate this. Now you can use just whatever type of lube you would normally use on your bicycle chain is suitable for this application too. So wherever you see the sliding of the mechanism, that's where you would want to drip a few drops of oil, especially if the rack has not been used for a while, and that'll maintain the nice smooth action of this lever. Also, it's not a bad idea to add a little bit of lubrication along this threading here as well. But there's very little maintenance required, but those two things can help with the overall use of the rack. Now, this also has full security options built into it. So for one, you have the option to lock this quick release skewer into the closed position so that you have a theft deterrent for the bicycle to the carrier. And you also have another portion here where you can lock this cover, preventing access to this fastener, which would allow for removal of the carrier from your roof rack crossbars. So that would require RockyMount lock cylinders, as you see here, and those are installed by first removing the plastic plugs. So let's go ahead and do that, and I'll demonstrate. So here you have just a standard flathead screwdriver, and we'll pull out that lock plug. And then here on this design, you have this wafer that's at the front. Now that just has to be positioned in between those two triangles. There's a ramp there, and you insert and push, and it just falls into position. Now when I lock this, that prevents this quick release skewer from opening and releasing the grip of the fork tips. Okay, and so when you unlock it, that allows it to open. So same concept with this cover. So let's go ahead and just do the same thing here. We'll pop out that plastic piece. That's a one-time thing because it doesn't use this style. So once you pop that out, it's popped out permanently. But the same concept, you can also see within, you have the two triangles and a ramp in between. You just push that in and turn. Okay, and so when that is mounted into place, you have a very effective theft deterrent preventing access to that fastener at the front, and that way your bike is locked to the carrier and your carrier is locked to your crossbars. Okay, so bear in mind that those lock cylinders are sold separately in matched sets. That way if you're purchasing more than just one of these carriers, you can have a set of 4, and so both of your carriers can all be key matched for convenience. Okay, so let's go ahead and return back to the vehicle outside. Okay, back outside, let's go ahead and install the carrier on this vehicle with the factory installed roof rack, and then we'll load up a bike and show you all the details and some tips to make it easier to load the bike up there. Okay, so first, one thing to get easy access to the height is if you open up your back door, you can stand on the threshold of the rear entrance in order to get some height without a ladder or anything. Okay, so the first step in installing is I'm going to get those 2 bands underneath the bar, and I'll take off this cover, and I just want to go ahead and bring that band to engage it at the front. And now before I get these tightened, I want to go to the back here, and now I'm standing on the rear tire in order to get the height that I need. And back here, I'll just go ahead and begin fastening this rear wheel hardware. Okay, now positioning, generally it's best to have this as far to the outside as possible. That way when you're loading the bike, you don't have to reach inward quite as much. Although you will find on some factory crossbars that have a more of an arch shape to it, that the bike will lean towards the outside the further you move to the outside. So in some cases, it may make sense to bring it inward a little bit. Now, Rocky Mounts does include all the necessary tools. So for the back here, I'll just go ahead and use the tool they provided and pull out that final amount of threading, the slack there. Again, this is fully adjustable to accommodate a wide range of different crossbar shapes and sizes. Okay, so we got that snugged up. Now with that snugged up, we can go ahead and tighten that front, and here you have another tool that's included, a different size, and we can go ahead and begin drawing those bands tight. And a nice feature of this is just one fastener that's simultaneously bringing those two bands into tension. Has this aluminum, die-cast aluminum head unit here, has a wide surface area to give you excellent lateral stability. Okay, so there we have nice, good, strong grip, yet protective to the surface of your crossbars. Okay, and we can go ahead and put this cover back into place. Separately, at this point, you would lock that up to provide the security of the carrier to your bars. Okay, now we want to, if you haven't loaded a bike to this point, you'd want to make sure you have plenty of extra room in this spacing here. If you've already loaded the bike, then this will be preset for that bike and it doesn't need to be readjusted. So we'll go ahead and leave it slightly open, and then that way we can demonstrate how to tighten it up and get the correct tension. And then at the back, just make sure that you have this open, ready to accept the rear wheel rather than closed and having to do that when it's more difficult as you're trying to manage the bicycle at the same time. Okay, let's go back down to look at the bike. Straight a couple steps. Okay, so here's our bike. We want to go ahead and remove the front wheel. Again, this is a conventional quick release front wheel. Now, very important, get that front wheel into the vehicle, into your trunk, into your rear wheel, wherever it needs to be. There's been cases where people have driven away without their front wheel just because they're happy to have their bicycle loaded and forgot their front wheel. So that's something to consider. Okay, now when you're ready to load the bike, it's always best to get down as low as possible on the frame and fork, and that way when you stand up, the bike is much higher and ready to be loaded. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll be aiming the back wheel into the rear of the tray as I step up onto the threshold of the vehicle here. So first is the rear wheel, and now I can go ahead and take my hand off of the back of the bike and with both fork onto the skewer. Okay, now without letting go of the bicycle, I want to do a test to see if that's tight enough. So it's closed, but you can see it's not tight enough. However, it still has the safety tabs, which will help as a safety measure there. But let's go ahead and give it the proper tension. And it's just from one side. I can make that adjustment. And that's too tight. So let's go backwards a turn. And maybe another turn. Okay, there we go. So now it's tight. I'm shaking the bike and I don't see any slippage. So that's what you're after right there. So safe, stable. And again, if you purchase locks, at this point you would lock this quick release skewer as a theft deterrent for the bicycle to the carrier. Okay, now at the back, I'm going to switch over here to stand on the back tire. I can slide these two halves of the rear wheel strap. What I'm looking for is I want the strap to be below the rear axle, and then that's the positioning of the strap. And if you can, find two parallel spokes, bring your strap around and give it a good firm grip. The tray here can accommodate the narrow road bike tires as well as wider mountain bike tires as well. And now from here, I'm going to go ahead and shake the vehicle, and you can see you've got a very good stable platform for transporting your bicycle on the roof of your vehicle with a factory roof rack system. Okay, well those are all the key features of the RockyMounts TieRod roof mount bicycle carrier. This product and the full line of RockyMount products are available at rackattack.com. Please see the link in the video description for all your buying options. If you have any questions or comments on this particular carrier, feel free to leave those in the comments section below. And consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. We have over 2,000 rack related videos and we upload new videos weekly. That's all for this one, and thanks for watching.